What does Indigenous curation look like? That was a very challenging question for me to answer because what makes curation Indigenous? Is it having an Indigenous person doing the work? Is it having Indigenous artists work in the exhibition? Or is it, something else? My name is Brianna LaPlante. I'm a fine artist from Fishing Lake First Nation. I am Anishinaabe, nehiyaw, and Michif. My language has no word for artist. The title holds layered meaning. For one, I acknowledge and I'm humble enough to admit I don't have my language, and so even if I were to try and describe artist or the role of an artist, I wouldn't be able to grasp that. Secondly, speaking with translators and people who do hold their language, that role is not something that is familiar. The way Western culture defines it isn't translatable to the roles of our artists in community and how we use that in language. Walking into the space following the installation, this space was almost too small to contain all of the culture, all of the wonderful artworks that you see present in this exhibition. The first artwork that you see in the show is Edward Putra's Summer Snow Tribal Relocation Program, and that piece is a silkscreen piece where we printed out vinyl. And as I was studying relationship between these artists, what I did was I quite literally pinpointed them on a map. A curatorial decision that I made was to put Jane Ash Putra and David Garneau on the West Wall in recognizing that this is the territories that they hail from. And that continues on with a lot of the artworks that are sandwiched in the middle, all the way to Simone McLeod and Sherry Farrell-Rosette, who hail from the East. I guess what I've considered in arranging the artworks here in the space is those borders that exist that don't necessarily contain the art, but also place the person in relationship to their territory, their people, as well as their culture and where that extends to. I was really trying to pull like a collective message, which was nearly impossible with so many nations being present. Not being able to find a collective message, I found a collective goal, and that goal resonated with me as an artist as well. And so what I found each of these individuals doing is committing to their responsibility of elevating Indigenous knowledge as valuable knowledge. And so that would include like the lived experiences, and acknowledging that as truth, acknowledging that as authentic, and making room for that. Indigenous connection, it goes beyond the physical. We get to bear witness to a lot of the connections that these artists have made in their lifetimes, and all of the things that they have done and are doing and will do. I guess what it does is it serves as a legacy. I want to honor all of the artists here who have made an impact, whether it be in my life or the art world / Indigenous art world, and where do we go from here? What does this collection or celebration of artists say to Indigenous curation?